Now to the deepening leadership turmoil surrounding Sussan Ley. There's a slow-moving but increasingly undeniable challenge to her position. And here's the state of play. The Conservatives ultimately support a leadership change, but for now, they're holding fire, prepared to give Ley more time and wait until the new year. The majority of moderate Liberals also continue to publicly back Ley. But what has shifted is this. A small but significant number of influential moderates have quietly moved their support from Sussan Ley to Andrew Hastie. Or perhaps not so quietly, seeing as this ended up on the front page of the papers. Among them are Tim Wilson and Jane Hume. There were reports that Liberal Senator Andrew Bragg had joined them in backing Hastie, but he insists it's not true. Bragg told me today that Ley deserves clear air to sell the new energy policy. Bragg said, "I support Sussan and I haven't spoken to Hastie about the leadership. I'm not contemplating anyone other than Sussan being the leader right now." That's Bragg telling me that earlier today. Now, there's also been speculation over Dave Sharma's position. Well, sources tell me that Sharma is not agitating or encouraging a challenge, but would consider supporting Hastie if one emerged. Now, while the number of moderates switching camps is very small, when combined with the Conservatives, it could be enough to shift the numbers from Sussan Ley to an alternate candidate. That is, if the Conservatives can unify behind a single leadership figure. The two current options are Angus Taylor and Andrew Hastie. Moderates considering Hastie would expect a deal. In return for supporting Hastie, the moderates would require the deputy leadership. Now, the pitch is for a fresh, next-generation team. And one option being discussed is Hastie as leader, with Tim Wilson as deputy. Both are young. Hastie is 43 and Wilson 45, both with talent, but from very different ends of the Liberal spectrum. Hastie is a social conservative, a former SAS officer, raised in Sydney and now in Perth. He's always been outspoken on Turnbull's 2018 energy policy to legislate Paris and against the extradition treaty with China in 2017. Some moderates fear, though, that he may struggle to resonate with voters in inner-city electorates, and they point to the recent controversy over his abortion comments. Now, Hastie maintains his position was deliberately taken out of context. Tim Wilson, meanwhile, is as socially progressive as Hastie is conservative. He was the only Liberal to win back a Teal seat at the last election. He's intelligent, disciplined, and a conviction politician. Now, the irony is that Tim Wilson and Andrew Bragg were among the strongest opponents of dumping net zero, and it was Hastie who spearheaded the push to abolish it. Nevertheless, the broad moderate group does remain behind Sussan Ley. And senior moderates Anne Ruston and Maria Kovacic issued this statement today, saying media reports this morning about the moderates are incorrect. We, along with an overwhelming majority of our moderate colleagues, continue to strongly support Sussan's leadership. And Anne Ruston then reinforced the message in an interview with Kieran Gilbert earlier.
I can confirm that every single one of the moderates that I spoke to this morning supports Sussan Ley as the leader of our party, and just wanted to make sure that that was very clear given the speculation that we've seen in the media overnight.
But as usual in the current chaos of the coalition, some colleagues are deliberately feeding the disunity.
Yeah, well, obviously it does look like people are positioning themselves, and I wouldn't be telling you the truth otherwise, would I? But what I would also say, it's a 1,500-metre race. Be really careful where you position yourself on the first lap. It's no one really cares. The finish line is 2.5 years away, and that's where you've got to be positioning yourself.
And Garth Hamilton on this show on Thursday refused to say that Sussan Ley should still be next year, should still be leader. Garth, you just said you can't look that far ahead. It's only 1 year. Do you think Sussan will be leader this time next year?
No, I'm not going to go into it for you today, Sharri. I'm sorry. I think we've got a huge policy announcement.
You can't express confidence in her leadership to say that you think she'll still be leader in a year's time?
I'm not going to suggest anyone on that one for you, Sharri. I'm going to focus on today's great outcome, which is a great policy win.
And Malcolm Turnbull today couldn't help himself as usual.
I feel sorry for her because she's in a fish tank consisting of goldfish that have no, that have no memory, that forget everything that they've done the last time round, and they act like piranhas. They just want to eat each other. So it's they've got the memory of goldfish and the dining habits of piranhas.
You can always count on him to provide a helpful intervention. But this type of disunity is highly damaging. Anthony Albanese, of course, is capitalising on every moment of this destabilisation campaign against Sussan Ley. And the only beneficiary of the Liberal infighting so far is the Albanese government.
It is just a policy to try and get the Leader of the Opposition through to Christmas as the leader, in spite of the fact she is being undermined each and every day by her own colleagues. There's no discipline.
Sussan Ley is trying to sell her new energy policy, but instead she finds herself defending her leadership amid leaks about moderates shifting to hasty.
But the sharks are circling. We've got the front page where Andrew Hastie is basically doing the numbers for his leadership tilt on the front page. We've got Angus Taylor doing a soft interview with News Corp over the weekend saying what his favourite movie is and talking about what he's learnt since he lost the leadership spill to you. Are you worried? Is your leadership terminal?
I know you've got to ask these questions, Nat, but I'm not going to lose focus on the things that matter. And I'm not going to lose focus on the plan that I'm talking about right now, which is about people. It's about Australians. It's about affordable energy as a priority.
And again today.
People are entitled to have their views. I'm not here for a sense of ego about me. Can I be really clear about that? I'm here for Australians who are working hard. I've been underestimated a lot of my life. Once again, it's actually not about me. It's about the Australian people, and they're what motivates me every single day.
So these are the questions Sussan Ley's confronting just as she has finally landed her energy policy and is trying to sell it after 6 months of work. Now, it may well be the case that Ley has been underestimated all her life, as you just heard, but she now faces pressure from two fronts: the Albanese government and the enemy within, her own colleagues. And the reality is, if she can't lift the coalition's dire performance in the polls, then the sustained pressure on her leadership will only intensify into the new year.